I don't know, Sohail, if you want to add anything. Sohail knows a lot more about this than I do. I mean, he's very respected. But I mean, again, there's a, yeah, sorry.
I'm just wondering if his reception extends beyond Central Asia and...
Yeah. Egypt, Morocco, anywhere. I mean, his Hujjat Allah al-Baligha is a very widely read book. His commentary on Muwatta, his book on the attributes, the virtues of Abu Bakr and Omar, his book on the legal implications of Sahih al-Bukhari. They're widely read books, widely published.
Sanid as well,
yeah, yeah. He's also, because he's kind of the epicenter of Hadith scholarship in South Asia, a lot of the isnads for his hadiths and books go back through Shah Wali-Allah, and then through him to Yemen and the Hijaz, and then Egypt, and then to Syria and Iraq, and eventually back to the Prophet. Other questions? Did we go over time? Okay, so either you don't understand or you have a comment before.
I have a question. What's the definition of a companion, and are all companions dressed in the same amount?
Okay. In the Sunni tradition, there are a couple of schools of thought. The main school of thought is that, and you can find this, for example, in Sahih al-Bukhari, in his book on virtues of the companions, that a companion is anybody who saw the Prophet, met as a Muslim, met the Prophet, saw him from a distance, and died a Muslim. So you could be, you get to Medina, the last day of the Prophet's life, peace be upon him, and you see him in the mosque, and then he dies, you're a companion. There are other schools of thought. For example, the historian and Hadith scholar Al-Waqidi, who died in 207, maybe about 823 of the Common Era, he believed that in order to be a companion, you have to have at least have reached puberty during the Prophet's life. I mean, you can't just have been a kid. And so this is Sunnis, the mainstream Sunni position has rejected this because that means that people like Al-Hussein, Al-Hassan, Ibn Abbas, major companions, are not actually companions. They died. The Prophet died before they had reached puberty. And Al-Waqidi relies on the famous successor Sa'id ibn al-Musayyib, who died in 93 Hijri, that in order to be a companion, you have to have known the Prophet for about 2 years and have fought in at least one battle with him. So, I mean, in a sense, that makes sense. I mean, you can't just be a companion. Why should I trust you if you met the Prophet last minute he was alive? You don't even know anything. But in the mainstream Sunni position is that all companions of the Prophet are upright in character and reliable Hadith transmitters. Every single one. You saw the companion, you saw the Prophet for a minute, you're a reliable Hadith transmitter. Now, this is in some ways a theoretical statement, and it gets made fun of a lot because it's kind of, how can you say that? And some Muslim scholars have said, well, if you see the Prophet, just the sight of him has an effect on you and purges you of the ability to lie about the Prophet. Now remember, when people say the companions are upright in character, it means they don't lie about the Prophet. They can drink alcohol, they can commit zina, they can kill somebody, but they won't lie about the Prophet. We're not saying that the companions are all perfect by any stretch, but they won't lie about the Prophet. That's kind of a theoretical statement, but if we look at it practically, how many companions are there? Well, Shafi says that there's about 60,000 companions when the Prophet died. Hakim and Nisapuri at 1014 says there are about 4,000. But why, I think in later books like Bin Hajar's Al-Isaba, there's about 12,000 names in there. But if you look at, let's say, the 6 books, the mainstay books of the Sunni tradition, there's only 962 companions who are sources in the 6 books. And the vast majority of hadiths come from 4 or 5 companions: Abu Hurairah, Anas bin Malik, Ibn Umar, Aisha, and who am I missing? Ibn Umar, Anas, Aisha, Abu Hurairah, Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, yes. So the real bulk of the hadith tradition is going to come from a couple of people. And even if you look at kind of wider perspective, it's only going to come from about 962 people. And none of those people are companions who did things like commit zina or kill somebody, you know. You have companions who are, I'm maybe going out on a limb, and God forgive me if I'm wrong, but I mean, we're not good people. I mean, someone like Walid bin Uqba, Walid bin Uqba, the kinsman of Uthman, he drank alcohol several times. He was not widely respected. You have, of course, people during the lifetime of the Prophet who are hypocrites. You know, they're hypocrites. Abdullah bin Ubay, al-Munafiqun, they're also companions of the Prophet. But, you know, we don't narrate hadith to Abdullah bin Ubay. So in some ways, the idea that all his companions are, none of them can lie about the Prophet is kind of a safeguard that hadith scholars put in place so that if we can have a hadith going back to a companion, we know we don't have to worry about that companion. Is he reliable? But in reality, you know, you're not really dealing with people who are bad people to begin with, right? You don't narrate hadith through Walid bin Uqba or other companions of the Prophet who were not the best people. Yes?
Maybe this is relevant, so feel free to ignore it, but what's the story with Muta?
Muta marriage? Yeah, I'm not qualified to answer that question.
Because Shia seem to...
Yeah, okay, I'll tell you what I know. Obviously from a Shiite perspective, I should give you the Shiite perspective too, which is that the companions of the Prophet, if they don't support Ali, they weren't from the Shiite. Ali are not reliable. Abu Huraira, the biggest single hadith transmitter for Sunnis, is a liar for Shia. He's just a flat-out liar who made up materials on the Prophet. He's not reliable. Aisha too. So you have sort of Ali, you have his posse of, you know, Miqdad bin Aswad, Abu Dhar al-Ghafari, Ammar bin Yasir, people like that, where it's sort of the original Shiite. Ali, you know, Muhammad, the son of Abu Bakr, other people like that, who are reliable, but the other Sunni Sahaba are not reliable transmitters. So the Shiite hadith tradition goes back to the Prophet through these good transmitters. And also sometimes they might use Sunni hadith if they back up their argument. So they'll use the hadith of Ammar bin Yasir being killed by the rebellious party because it's a pro-Shia hadith, even though they might not think that, you know, the person who transmitted this hadith, Abdullah bin Amr bin al-As, for example, is absolute enemy of him. He's bosom buddy of Muawiyah. So he's absolutely the worst human being in the Shia tradition, right? But the hadith is pro-Shia, they can use it in debates with Sunnis. Because, you know, if the only thing better than me having evidence that supports my argument is you having evidence that supports my argument. But, no. So that's the difference. And then Muta marriage, this is something that seems to have been practiced during the time of the Prophet, that maybe was banned and disallowed, and then finally banned at the time of the Prophet before he died. But some Sahaba felt that it was still allowed. And then finally Omar prohibits it finally. And that's why the Imami Shiites don't accept the ban on Muta marriage, because they feel this is Omar sticking his nose where he shouldn't have and altering the Sunnah of the Prophet. Unacceptable. Yes?
Just a comment that throughout the history, and corroborated with cartridges, there is a great deal of reliability for the hadith that has taken place. And also there is a great deal of question of many others. And it all leads to a tradition of memorization and listening, and looking at modes of learning. That some people who are sitting in our place here listening to some scholar who knows the hadith, and we trust him, and we may, some other group of people sitting under a different column, somewhere else in the continent, somewhere listening to another column and different hadith. All leads to a lecturing mode to people who are receiving mode. Very rarely you find in the Islamic tradition, and that's of course exemplified by the Khatib talking and nobody else is watching you. Now when you come here and you show the amount of criticism and possible question